I was very intrigued when Versed Skincare launched a full line of minimalist makeup at an affordable drugstore-ish price point, mostly because Versed Skincare was founded by Catherine Powers, who also happens to be the owner of Merit Beauty. And you know how much I absolutely adore my Merit makeup. And the two lines do seem to have quite a similar aesthetic. So today I am applying a full face of Versed makeup, and I will be doing some comparisons to some of my beloved Merit Beauty products. If this sounds fun to you, throw this video a thumbs up and let's get into it. Now both Merit and Versed are made in Korea, which I think is fantastic because Korea is very well known for their high quality skincare and makeup formulations. Both lines are cruelty-free, vegan, and fragrance-free. Now Versed is a little bit more unaffordable drugstore-ish price point, with most of their products being under $15. And Merit is a little bit higher end, more in the $20 to $30 price range. As far as base complexion products, Versed did go in a little bit of a different direction. While Merit has their Minimalist Complexion Perfecting Stick, which is a cream stick that doubles as both foundation and concealer, no SPF, Versed launched both a liquid skin tint with SPF and a classic creamy concealer. Now because these are very different product types, they are a little bit difficult to compare. So let's play with some makeup. You know, on an everyday basis, I really do lean more into light coverage skin tints than I do actual foundations. So I was really excited to see how Versed Skin Solution Multi-Serum Tint SPF 40 works on my over 60 very dry skin. Now this is $19.99 for the standard 30 mLs. It comes in a glass bottle with a pump, and it has their signature green shade that fades to clear glass, which I think is great because you can actually see the shade. This comes in 14 shades, and light neutral shades usually work really well for me. However, 2N Light Neutral was the second to the lightest shade, so I do think these run on the light side. So I ordered the next neutral shade, which is 5N Light Medium Neutral, which is just a tad too deep for me right now, but I can make it work. Let's give it a good shake, and I am going to show you the consistency. Not too thin, not too thick. Now this claims to have a hydrating, natural skin-like finish with light to medium coverage that looks and feels like skin. Now I have been playing with this all week, so this is not a first impression. Now Versed does sell a corresponding complexion brush, but I have more than enough brushes, so I am going to use my BK Beauty 109, and there it is. And let me just get this blended in. It does feel very lightweight, and it does blend really, really easily. And as always, pressing it in with my REPHR sponge, dampened. So there is one side with the tint compared to without. I do feel like it does offer light to light medium coverage. All right, so here we have two pumps for a nice light medium coverage. Now, although this does feel a little bit tacky at first, in just a few minutes, it does dry down to a really pretty natural satin skin-like finish with a touch of luminosity. Like I said, I have been playing with this all week, and although it does look okay at a conversational distance, each day I have found it to cling to dry patches, gather in my forehead and my marionette lines, and it does tend to bunch up in the corner of my nose. So this is not a favorite. There are several other drugstore skin tints at a much better price point that I will be reaching for over this. And reminder, even though it says SPF of 40, you are not applying near enough product to really get any significant protection. And I do think this might be an even better product without the high concentration of zinc oxide. And next up, we have the Skin Solution Serum Concealer, which has a classic doe foot applicator. This claims to be a weightless hydrating serum concealer with medium coverage. It is supposed to be self-setting with no creasing. It contains glycerin, squalane, kojic acid, and caffeine. It is $14.99 and it comes in the same 14 shades as the skin tint. So I ordered 2N, which was way too light. So I went back to Target and I picked up 5N. Here is 2N and here is 5N, which is a little too deep for under my eyes. So I am going to do a little mixology and add just a touch of 2N to the 5N, and I am going to apply it with my BK Beauty A506 concealer brush. So I am doing just a little bit of mixology and adding just a touch of 2N to 5N. Hopefully I can get a good shade. And I'm going to stipple it under my eyes and on my lid, and then blend it with the warmth of my finger. Now I do find this to be very lightweight, and I do think it has really nice medium coverage. However, no concealer is creaseless, especially not on my over 60 under eyes. And unfortunately, over the course of the week, I have found that as the day wears on, this does tend to accentuate all the bad stuff under my eyes. So unfortunately, so far not impressed with Versed complexion-based products, but hang in there because it's about to get better. The product that I was the most excited about is Versed Shade Swipe Cream Blush to see how it compares to Merit Flush Balm. Now Versed is $14.99 for 5.5 grams. Merit is $30 for 9 grams, almost twice as much product, which means the price point is actually fairly similar. Unfortunately, when my blush arrived, the stick was stuck in the cap, so I had to tap it out of the cap. So I do have to be pretty careful when handling this. Now, Versed Shade Swipe does come in 5 really pretty, but fairly basic shades. One of the things I love about Merit is how nuanced and elevated all 13 shades are. I have almost all of them and they are all stunningly gorgeous. So I ordered Versed in the shade Bloom, which is described as a rosy mauve, and I have swatched it for you. Here is Versed Bloom, and here is Merit's Cheeky. And I hope you can see that Versed is a little bit more opaque and a little bit more pigmented, but the shades are similar enough that I am going to put one on each cheek. So let's start with Merit Cheeky, which is one of my very favorite Merit shades. There is Cheeky. And on this side, I will put Versed Bloom. Cheeky, I don't know if you can tell, it is already looking more radiant. Bloom. And I am going to blend them with my BK Beauty 112 Soft Angled Face Brush. This is one of my favorite brushes. I have multiples, and it's really, really good for blending cream blushes. Now, although Merit is very easy to blend with your fingers, I am going to use the brush so I can do the same application on both sides. This literally blends itself. And it can be built up a little bit if you choose, but I think that looks really, really pretty. And on this side, I am using a different brush. And although it is more pigmented and more opaque, it's still really, really easy to blend. My gosh, can you hear that wind out there? So I don't know if it's going to show up on camera. There is Versed. I feel like it's just a little bit less radiant than Merit, but they're both really, really pretty. Having said that, my personal preference is still Merit, and Merit Flush Balm remains my all-time favorite cream blush. Versed Warm Dimension Bronzer Stick comes in 3 shades, but they all look just a little bit too warm and a little bit too deep for my skin tone, so I did not order a bronzer. I did, however, get the highlighter. The High Points Illuminating Stick comes in 3 shades, and I ordered the shade Polish, which is a really pretty cool rose gold. As far as a price comparison between Versed and Merit's Day Glow, Versed is $14.99 for 5.5 grams. Merit is also 5.5 grams, however, it is $32, so a huge price difference. Now, once again, I did have an issue with the Versed packaging. When I opened it, the stick flew out of the component, landed on the floor, so it's pretty beat up and I have to be really, really careful with it. Now, I do want to show you these 2 products side by side. On this side, we have Versed in the shade Polished, and on this side, we have Merit's Day Glow in the shade Bounce. Both of these are described as rose gold. I think you can see that Versed is definitely a little bit more on the pink side, and I did swatch these for you. However, highlighters are notoriously difficult to swatch. So there is Versed, and there is Merit. I'm not even sure if that's showing up. Let's get these on my face. On this side, I am going to apply Merit's Bounce. It is just such a pretty, very, very sheer, glossy highlight. And on this side, we will put Versed. I don't know if it's showing up on camera, but it's definitely a little bit more opaque, a little bit more pigmented, not quite as glossy, but still really, really pretty. And the price difference is huge. Moving on to the eyes. Now, both lines offer very simple, minimalist, one and done eyeshadows. Verst's Sheer Stay Liquid Shadow comes in 5 really pretty, soft, shimmery neutrals, and Merit's Solo Cream Shadow comes in 8 neutral matte shades. Now, in general, I do find liquid eyeshadows a little bit difficult to deal with, but I did pick up Versed Liquid Shadow in the shade Vintage, and here it is swatched. Such a gorgeous bronzy brown shade. And here it is compared to Merit's Solo Shadow in the shade Studio. But you can see this is matte, and that has such a gorgeous sheen. The problem is, no matter how I apply it, I cannot get this to work. It's patchy, it shears out, and it just looks terrible on my eyes. So I'm going to spare us all the frustration of watching me struggle, and I am not applying this to my eyes today. Suffice to say, this was a total fail. But I do need to get something on my eyes, so I am going to put on just a little bit of Merit Studio. Like I said, it's my most used Merit eyeshadow. I do wish Merit would come out with a shimmer. You know, I like mattes, but I also really appreciate a little bit of sheen and shine on the eyes. Now, I am a little bit surprised that neither Versed nor Merit came out with an eyeshadow stick. I find eyeshadow sticks the easiest to use of all, and I do think eyeshadow sticks would go really well with the, cream sticks that they have in their lines. Merit recently launched an eyebrow pencil, which I don't have, and Versed doesn't even have an eyebrow pencil. So I did just go off camera and pencil in my brows a little bit with my NYX Brow Powder Eye Pencil. Now, in one of my recent videos, I said that this was discontinued, and several of you shared with me that this has actually been repackaged rather than discontinued. So my favorite eyebrow pencil is still available. It is now called NYX Powder Louder Brow Powder Pencil. I will link it below because, like I said, it's my all-time favorite eyebrow pencil. Now, both Merit and Versed have brow gels, however, and I have both of them. Unfortunately, my Merit Brow Gel is pretty much empty, so I'm not going to be able to do a side-by-side, but I will show you how the brushes compare. Here is Merit, and here is Versed. And I hope you can see that the Versed is smaller, and the bristles are tighter, which is actually my preference. I really like this, how this grabs each and every one of my brows. So the Versed Easy Brow Gel does come in 3 shades, blonde, brown, and black, and I have it in the shade brown. And like I said, I love how that little wand grabs each and every brow hair, and it does a really, really nice job tinting, volumizing, and holding. There is with the brow gel, and there is without the brow gel. And the price difference is significant. Versed Easy Brow is $13.99 for 4 grams. Merit's Brow 1980 is $24 for 2.4 grams. Now, as much as I have enjoyed Merit's Brow 1980, I don't like spending a lot of money on my brows. So for me, the clear winner is Versed Easy Brow at a really nice price point. Moving on to mascara, we have Versed Lash Lifting and Defining Water Resistant Mascara for $14 and Merit's Clean Lash Tubing Mascara for $24. Let me show you the wands. The wands are quite different. So here are the wands. This one is Merit, and it's sort of a classic bristle. And this one here is Versed, and I don't know if you can tell, but this is one of those more flexible silicone wands. And once again, we are up close and personal, so I can show you the mascara. Now, I will say, neither one of these mascaras flake or smudge on me, but I'm hoping that you're going to be able to see some of the subtle differences. On this side, we have Merit Clean Lash, and on this side, we have Versed. Now, I do feel like I'm getting clumping with Versed, and I'm really not loving that spidery look it's giving my lashes. So Merit is still a favorite. I just really enjoy the fluffy, natural-looking volume and length that I get from the Merit mascara. As far as the Drugstore, I definitely prefer my Maybelline Lash Sensational Sky High Mascara at a much better price point. And finally, lipsticks, which is my favorite category of makeup. Now, Versed and Merit both have very different product types, pretty much apples to oranges. Versed launched 2 lip products. First is their Cashmere Color Smoothing Lip Blush for $10.99, and it comes in 5 shades. They also launched the Soft Gloss Tinted Lip Serum for $11.99, also in 5 shades. Totally different from Merit's Signature Lip Lightweight Lipstick, which comes in both a satin and a matte formula. Now, I am a huge fan of Merit lipsticks, especially the matte. Merit has one of my all-time favorite matte formulas. It's incredibly lightweight and surprisingly moisturizing. So I'm really happy that Versed brought something completely different to the market. First up, we have Versed Lip Blush, which is sort of a new style of lipstick. I ordered the shade Reserve, which is described as a brown berry. Now, as you can see, it is really quite sheer, but it can be built up for a little bit more intensity, but it is still quite a sheer product. Let me get this on my lip. So there is one light, very sheer layer. Let's build it up a little bit. Oh my gosh, it feels incredibly nourishing and moisturizing. It's balmy, but not glossy. And I do think it has a really pretty, soft, natural, subtle look, sort of a no lipstick lipstick. However, the bullet is already wiggling around in the components, so I do think that Versed definitely needs to work on their packaging. Of the two, my personal favorite is the Tinted Lip Serum, which comes in the classic clickable style component. I picked up the shade Gem, and here is Gem compared to the Cashmere Color lip blushes. Let's get this on my lips. Oh my gosh, I think that lip blush actually stained my lips a little bit. Anyway, very, very smooth. Oh my gosh, it feels very moisturizing. It's sheer and glossy and surprisingly pigmented. And there is just a very slight tingle, and it does taste just a little bit minty, so I do think it might be plumping as well. This actually reminds me a little bit of the Hourglass Phantom Glossy Balm at a fraction of the price. I definitely want to pick up a couple more shades. Oh my gosh, you guys, I just realized I had a little black spot on my nose, but I am not refilming all the lipstick. Anyway, as far as final thoughts, it is a little bit of a mixed bag, a few faves and a few fails. But overall, a very nice minimalist makeup launch from First at a drugstore price point. But definitely not a dupe for Merit Beauty. Anyway, please share your thoughts in the comment box. I always love hearing from you. And with that, have yourself a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in my next video.